At the grim hour of 4:30 a.m. on April 16, 1945, amidst the thunderous Battle of Okinawa, a lone sailor fights the encroaching grasp of sleep aboard the destroyer, the USS Laffy. Suddenly, the radar screen springs to life, its rhythmic pings painting a terrifying picture of multiple enemy contacts. Jolted from his stupor, the man's hand instinctively slams the alarm, its piercing shriek shattering the pre-dawn stillness. A cacophony of sirens erupts across the vessel as sailors scramble to their battle stations. Commander F. Julian Beckton storms onto the bridge, his voice cutting through the chaos, demanding an immediate report. Multiple hostiles detected. The closest is a mere 20 miles out. But wait, it's veering off. Just as quickly as it surged, Beckton's adrenaline recedes, replaced by a wave of collective frustration from the assembled officers. This torment has been their reality all night, the Japanese toying with them, probing their defenses just enough to provoke a reaction before melting back into the darkness. This is a calculated game. They're wearing us down, preparing for the real assault. An unnerving silence descends upon the bridge, each man concealing a gnawing fear. They are a solitary sentinel, a radar picket positioned directly in the warpath between mainland Japan and the raging conflict in Okinawa. The Laffy is the first bastion of defiance every Japanese fighter, bomber, and kamikaze must face on their deadly pilgrimage. This treacherous duty has already claimed several ships, their crews decimated by the suicide attackers. Maintain your positions and rotate the men. We cannot afford to avert our gaze from the heavens for a single moment. Hope arrives in the form of aerial reinforcement. 3 divisions of F-4U Corsairs, christened the Grim Reapers, slice through the clouds above. These winged warriors are their vanguard, their first line of defense against the impending storm. But as the clock strikes 7:30 a.m., their fragile shield begins to crack. Reapers, confirm your status! Reapers, respond. The line to the Corsairs goes dead. A chilling dread grips Beckton. Stripped of their air cover, they are utterly exposed, a lone lamb in a sea of wolves. A massive enemy formation is upon us. They're descending from the north. One glance at the radar screen is all it takes for Beckton's blood to turn to ice. He would later recall, the screen was so infested with blips, it resembled a terminal case of chickenpox. All hands to battle stations! Engines, give me everything you've got. Where in God's name are the Corsairs? Sir, the Corsairs are still unresponsive. A suffocating sense of doom envelops him. They are utterly and terrifyingly alone. The ship's alarms scream a desperate chorus as men rush to their posts. A final, defiant stand against the inevitable. Brace for impact. From the ominous swarm, 6 kamikazes break away, their sights set on the Laffy. They begin a slow, predatory circle, 2 peeling off to deliver the first savage blow. Target acquired, sir. 11 miles and closing at an alarming rate. Full speed ahead. They're at 9 miles. Prepare the main battery. A tense stillness hangs over the deck. Every eye is trained on the sky, fingers poised over triggers, the distant drone of enemy engines growing into a deafening roar. 7 miles. In a split-second decision, Beckton races to the flying bridge. Unleash hell on these bastards. Far. He arrives just in time to witness the concussive roar of the Laffy's 5-inch main guns. The sky erupts in a storm of flak as the first pair of kamikazes plummets towards the ship's bow. The valiant Japanese pilot at the forefront of the charge navigates the treacherous clouds of shrapnel. But his bravery is in vain. A 5-inch shell finds its mark, striking the aircraft's nose and instantly obliterating it in a fiery cataclysm. Undeterred, a second Japanese plane emerges from the smoke of its fallen comrade. The 40 number of guns roar to life, tearing into the aircraft as it hurtles ever closer. Yet, it refuses to yield. It breaches the 20 Nemrod gun range, and a new hail of fire joins the onslaught. The Laffy unleashes a relentless torrent of lead, a desperate attempt to repel the inevitable until, at last, the enemy aircraft succumbs, its battered frame spiraling into the sea 3,000 yards away. But there is no reprieve, no time for celebration. Seconds later, 2 more Japanese planes materialize off the stern, skimming the waves with deadly intent. The Laffy's 5-inch guns pivot, taking aim at the new threats and unleashing another furious barrage. The guns, depressed to their lowest angle, barely clear the 20mm emplacements, their crews ducking for cover from the searing muzzle blast. Beckton barks orders for a sharp turn, a desperate maneuver to bring more firepower to bear on the relentless enemy. The Japanese pilot, mere seconds from impact, is torn from the sky as a shell obliterates his wing, sending him spiraling into the unforgiving sea. The fourth plane, undeterred, continues its daring charge, braving the storm of exploding shells and lead. The Americans unleash everything they have, but the enemy presses on, his will unyielding, determined to drag as many of his foes with him to a watery grave. The Laffy metes out its punishment. The plane is sent cartwheeling across the water's surface before it is consumed by the waves. We got him. Another one's coming, but the ordeal is far from over. The final two kamikazes of the initial wave begin their attack, one from port, the other from starboard. The majority of the ship's guns swing to starboard, opening a furious barrage. But the port side attacker, facing less resistance, accelerates with terrifying speed. The starboard plane is shredded, disintegrating into a shower of flaming confetti. But in their focus, the Americans have neglected the second threat for too long. He unleashes a hail of machine, gunfire, strafing the Laffy and inflicting grievous casualties upon the exposed sailors. The remaining guns swing around, a desperate, last-ditch effort to intercept the final attacker as it plummets towards them. A wall of shells erupts to meet it, but gravity is a relentless force, and the mangled wreckage is on a collision course. Sailors scream and scatter, fleeing for their lives as the ship's guns continue to fire, a testament to their unwavering defiance. Beckton roars for a hard turn to starboard, a final, desperate gamble. The wreck slams into the sea with a soul-crushing explosion, its bomb detonating and sending a tidal wave of shrapnel across the deck. Miraculously, the ship endures. An eerie silence descends upon the battlefield. The enemy still lurks in the distance, but the immediate assault has ceased. The crew, in a daze, begins the grim task of tending to their wounded, a brief respite to steel themselves for what is yet to come. After 7 agonizing minutes of suspense, another enemy plane breaks from the formation, its sights set on the wounded Laffy. Beckton, ever the tactician, turns the ship to present his broadside, a final, defiant gesture to unleash the full might of his remaining guns. The Val, a nimble dance of death, evades the barrage, its pilot laser focused on the Laffy's bridge. Beckton, witnessing the enemy's deadly intent, marks a series of evasive maneuvers. Rudder to port. Aye, sir. Steady as she goes. To starboard. Aye, sir. A high-stakes game of cat and mouse ensues. A desperate ballad of survival as Beckton maneuvers his crippled ship, again and again, to shield the bridge from the Val's relentless pursuit. The enemy aircraft, miraculously, continues its assault despite sustaining numerous hits. Aboard the Laffy, a gun captain, leading his 5-inch turret from the hatch, is met with a new crisis. What's wrong? It's jammed. I can't get it to elevate. With no time for a proper fix, the captain, cursing his luck, leaps from the mount, grabs a hammer, and with a primal roar, slams it against the base of the barrel. In the air, the Japanese pilot feels his aircraft disintegrating around him. In a final act of desperation, he abandons his pursuit of the bridge and dives straight for the heart of the ship. The Laffy's guns zero in, shredding the Val as one of the turrets fills the pilot's windshield. The aircraft impacts with a deafening roar, crashing atop the very gun the captain had just vacated, obliterating the hatch in a fiery explosion. The wreck, along with a torrent of flaming gasoline, flies over his head as the Val careens into the sea, engulfing the deck in a sea of fire. The gun captain and his men rush to contain the inferno. The ammunition stores begin to cook off, exploding in a series of deafening bangs that send glowing hot shrapnel in every direction. In that section of the ship, firefighting becomes the sole, desperate priority, the men's heroic efforts saving the Laffy from a catastrophic explosion. But their guns remain crippled. Another Japanese plane appears from the rear. A few remaining guns at the stern open fire, but their depleted firepower is no match for the determined attacker. The Val smashes into the stern, its impact devastating the ship's interior. The Laffey's stern is now a raging inferno, a vulnerable beacon for the enemy. Another bomber sweeps in, this time releasing its payload directly into the flames. The resulting explosion obliterates the ship's rudder and breaches the hull, locking it in a perpetual 26-degree turn to port. The Laffey is now trapped, a wounded beast circling in the water. Beckton, his control stripped away, can only watch as more attacks come. The sky is thick with enemy planes, too numerous to count. He watches in horror as two more aircraft break from the circling swarm and dive towards his crippled vessel. Flank speed, he roars, a futile command in the face of overwhelming odds. The few remaining guns at the stern fire in a desperate, final stand, but their efforts are in vain. The first plane slams into the ship, its impact almost unopposed, felling dozens of sailors and spreading a deadly inferno. The second follows close behind, but its bomb, miraculously, fails to detonate, clattering harmlessly across the deck. A group of sailors, seizing the opportunity, heroically pick up the unexploded ordnance and heave it overboard. The swarm continues to circle, a pack of wolves waiting for their moment to strike. Somehow, against all odds, the ship remains afloat, but Beckton knows their fight is a hopeless one. The Laffey needs a miracle. Corsairs? They're back! A squadron of American fighters thunders onto the scene, immediately tearing into the circling kamikazes, transforming them into streaks of fire. The Grim Reapers have returned. The enemy swarm scatters in every direction, the sky erupting into a chaotic dogfight. But this is no battle of equals, it is a slaughter. The outmatched and undertrained Japanese pilots and their obsolete aircraft are no match for the American fighters. One by one, they are sent plummeting into the sea in a blaze of glory. If you found this story captivating, we invite you to subscribe for more. Join our community on Discord. We thank you for your support. But the Laffey's ordeal is not yet over. In a final, desperate act of defiance, several Japanese planes break away, their sights set on the crippled destroyer, determined to drag it to the depths with them. The first dives in, a Corsair hot on its tail. The Laffey's gunners, fearing they might hit their ally, hold their fire. Beckton watches in horror as the thief 43 hurtles towards him. He dives to the floor as both aircraft roar overhead, their wings clipping the Laffey's mast just above his head. The Japanese plane spins out of control and crashes into the sea, while the Corsair, its pilot incredibly bailing out, pulls up into the sky. In the chaos, the American flag, torn from the mast, flutters down to the deck. Signalman Second Class Thomas B. McCarthy, without a moment's hesitation, turns to a nearby sailor and declares, "We have to get that flag back up." In the midst of the raging battle, McCarthy retrieves the fallen flag and begins his perilous climb up the mast. Beckton, witnessing this act of profound courage, does not intervene, returning to his command as McCarthy secures the flag high on a cable, a beacon of defiance for all to see. "Yeah! We got it! Good job!" 4 more kamikazes charge in, one after another, and the gunners, inspired by this act of heroism, take them all down, one getting as close as 50 yards before being consumed by the sea. Beckton is filled with immense pride for his men's unwavering gunnery. "Captain, we're in a bad way, aft. Do you think we'll have to abandon ship?" Beckton doesn't need to consider the question. After witnessing such courage, such heroism, letting her sink would be a betrayal. Hell no, we still have guns that can shoot. A bomber sweeps in, dropping its ordnance into the Laffey's battered stern. Then another bomber makes a beeline for the bridge. An officer, seeing the impending doom, tackles Beckton to the floor just as a volley of bullets rips through the structure. The bomber roars overhead, only to be intercepted and cut down from the sky by a vigilant Corsair. Then, another bomber, this one from the port bow, comes in with 2 Corsairs in hot pursuit, unleashing a torrent of fire until it is hit in the ammunition and explodes in a massive fireball directly above the sailors' heads. What's left of the bomber crashes into the waves. Then, an eerie silence. What happened? After 80 minutes of unrelenting hell, the battlefield falls quiet. The crew, in a state of disbelief, can hardly comprehend the sudden reprieve. Beckton, his mind racing, wonders why the enemy would relent when they were so close to victory. And then, he looks up to see 24 Allied Corsairs and Wildcats circling protectively overhead, a single Japanese plane nowhere in sight. The ship was a burning wreck, and Beckton feared that, after all they had endured, they would have to abandon her. But they managed to keep the ship that wouldn't die afloat. The attack tragically claimed 33 of the 336-man crew, with 70 more injured. The Grim Reapers, in their valiant defense, scored 33 victories. Incredibly, the ship that was attacked by 22 kamikazes and wouldn't die is still afloat. You can visit the USS Laffey at Patriots Point Naval Museum, South Carolina. Thanks again to World of Warships. Check out the link in the description.